All right, kids, welcome back to another episode of Whatever This Is with Hawk, with your host, me. I'm Hawk. I am recording this on Saturday, September 21st at about 2 p.m. Abortion is obviously one of the main issues in this upcoming presidential election, and especially with Donald Trump bragging about being personally responsible for overturning Roe versus Wade and taking away from every woman of childbearing age in the United States currently and in the future their right to control over their own bodies. Women are now dying from Trump abortion bans in red states, as we saw in a ProPublica article published earlier this week that identified 2 women in the state of Georgia who died because they were denied abortion-related medical treatment. It's a horrific article, and these are horrific stories. And I feel that I fear that this is a dramatically underreported situation in the United States. And I talked about in a TikTok earlier this morning that women dying while pregnant or delivering children, or immediately after delivering children, is up 56% in the state of Texas, wherein the nationwide average is an increase of 11%. And my first reaction to that is, why the fuck is maternal mortality rising at a double-digit rate in the United States of America in 2024? Let alone almost 5 times that number in the state of Texas. And it's because of Trump abortion bans. Fortunately, in 10 states, this coming election day, 10 states will have abortion referendums on their statewide ballot, most of which guarantee the standard that was set forth in Roe versus Wade, the right to an abortion before the fetus is viable, which is generally somewhere between 22 to 24 weeks. So I'm going to talk about each one of those 10 ballot measures today and the states that have them. We're going to go alphabetically. First up is Arizona. Arizona, remember that they had a complete abortion ban on the books from a law that was passed shortly after the Civil War, but had simply never been enforced. And then Republicans were like, oh, let's enforce that, as soon as the Dobbs decision came down overturning Roe versus Wade. There was litigation, and the state Supreme Court upheld that law. And under such dramatic pressure that even the Republican state legislature, even though there's a Democratic governor, passed a repeal of that law, the Civil War era law. But there was also in place a 15-week abortion ban with no exceptions for rape or incest. So activists in the state of Arizona have gotten on the ballot what's called Proposition 139 that would guarantee abortion access until fetal viability, which is the Roe standard. Abortion would be allowed after fetal viability to protect a patient's health. Republicans have tried to screw with this and insert misleading language, just like they did last year in Ohio. But that passed in Ohio by a 60-40 margin. Current polling in Arizona shows this proposition. It's currently polling 73 to 23. 73% of people say they're going to vote for it and enshrine abortion rights for the state of Arizona, which is fantastic. Colorado. So abortion remains legal in Colorado. It's one of a handful of states that do not restrict how late the procedure may take place. However, Democrats in the state are putting an abortion referendum on the state ballot to enshrine abortion rights in Colorado in the state constitution, just in case they are ever not in power. So even though Colorado is a blue state, They're doing what Congress should have done at some point in time over the last 50 years, but never did. Make it the law instead of just relying on the Supreme Court's interpretation of one single case. Florida, which I'm saying that Florida is a swing state this election. Republicans passed a 6-week abortion ban, which nobody in the electorate in the state of Florida was in favor of. Ron DeSantis signed that bill into law behind closed doors at like midnight. And so now there is an abortion referendum, which, again, it would guarantee abortion access until fetal viability. However, because of the rules in the state of Florida, this one does not have to pass by a simple majority. It has to get 60% of the vote. And favorability for this Florida referendum is pretty consistently polling in the 60s. So I'm hopeful that Florida is going to pass that. That, along with a recreational marijuana referendum on the state ballot, should go a long way towards turning out Democratic votes in the state of Florida. Number 4, the state of Maryland. Blue state, abortion is also legal there, but similar to Colorado, they have a slightly different process. Democrats are doing this now to enshrine this right into law as opposed to just relying on court cases. The way it works in Maryland is the Democratic legislature has passed a constitutional amendment enshrining abortion rights, and now that measure goes to the voters for their approval. I think it just needs a simple 51% majority vote in Maryland. Number 5, Missouri, another very red state. Activists in Missouri qualified an initiative in August that, if approved by voters, would amend Missouri's constitution and effectively overturn a law Republicans enacted that would ban abortion except in cases of certain medical emergencies. It's called Amendment 3. It would guarantee abortion access until fetal viability, as well as afterward when necessary to protect a patient's physical or mental health. I want to editorialize on one thing. A lot of these red states are passing abortion bans with the only exception being for the life of the mother. Apart from the fact that they're muddying that language so much that women are actually dying now, they very purposefully do not include exceptions for rape or incest. And I personally find that to be absolutely fucking disgusting. To look at women and girls who have been raped, because if you're under the age of 18 and you're impregnated by your dad or your uncle or your brother or a cousin, yes, it's incest, but it's also rape because minors can't consent. That makes it rape by definition. Forcing women and girls to carry pregnancies to term after they already went through being raped is just absolutely barbaric in my mind. Just absolutely barbaric. The Missouri Amendment 3 is currently polling at 52 to 34 in favor of passing that bill. Thank God. Number 6, Montana. Weirdly, even though Montana is a red state, it is the rare red state that serves as an abortion oasis amid a desert of states that sharply restrict access. South Dakota, North Dakota, Iowa, Nebraska. Then you've got Montana underneath it, Wyoming, and then you've got Idaho. All of those states have bans in place right now, leaving Montana. So it's like any woman in any of those states, they have to go to Montana or travel further in a different direction. They qualified Initiative 128 for the ballot, which would broadly guarantee abortion access until fetal viability. It would also protect abortion rights after that point if a healthcare provider deems it necessary to protect a patient's life or health. Number 7, Nebraska. Nebraska has a really messed up situation on its hands. Separate groups qualified opposing ballot initiatives to amend Nebraska's constitution. One would restore and protect the right to an abortion in the same way we've been discussing the Roe standard, while a second would enshrine the state's existing 12-week abortion ban and impose even tighter restrictions. Both of those initiatives are favored to pass, even though they contradict each other. It's whichever one gets the most votes compared to the other is the one that will actually take effect. So keep your fingers crossed for Nebraska. Number 8, Nevada. Nevada, abortion is legal in Nevada, and it's currently legal under the Roe standard, up to 24 weeks. But advocates want to amend the Constitution to further safeguard these protections, because Nevada is a swing state, and at any point in time, Republicans could take over. New York State. You gotta love New York Democrats. New York Democrats are the dumbest fucking Democrats in the entire country. They're also the most corrupt Democrats in the entire country. You look at the New York State House in Albany and the New York City Mayor's office. New York Democrats have the capacity for a level of corruption that is not seen in any Democratic state party except for the local Democratic Party governing system here in our own San Francisco, California. San Francisco Democrats and New York Democrats are the most corrupt Democrats in the entire country. I've lived in San Francisco for 22 years, so I'm not apologizing to anybody for that. Anybody in New York who's offended by that, just look at how many New York Democrats from state government and New York City have gone to prison over the years, and you will be forced to agree with me. New York Democrats drafted an abortion rights bill that's going to be on the ballot that doesn't contain the word abortion. It's just like, unbelievable. South Dakota is going to have an abortion rights referendum. When I first heard that, I was like, way to go, South Carolina. And then I read about the details of it. Supporters qualified a constitutional amendment in May that would partially overturn a Republican-backed law that bans abortion for any reason other than to save a patient's life. Okay. However, some major national groups that support abortion rights, such as Planned Parenthood and the ACLU, are not backing the amendment because they view it as too restrictive. The measure would guarantee abortion access only during the first trimester of pregnancy, 12 to 13 weeks. During the second trimester, the state would be able to regulate abortion only in ways that are reasonably related to the physical health of the pregnant woman. It would allow the state to ban abortion during the third trimester, except in cases where a woman's physician deems it necessary to preserve the life and health of the pregnant woman. You know, I guess it's baby steps, it's progress. That one's polling at 53 to 35 in favor of passing it. So in the state of South Dakota, for now, we got to take what we can get until we reelect Kamala Harris, give her a Democratic Senate and a Democratic House of Representatives so that they can rabbit punch Chuck Schumer in the head until he agrees to do away with the filibuster on this issue. And so the Senate can pass a federal law codifying the Roe v. Wade standard on a simple majority vote. All right, that is that. Thank you for joining me for whatever this is with Hawk. I'm wearing my embroidered Kamala hoodie. And as with this and all of our other merch, if you would like to order one of these, please visit our merch store at hawkmerchstore.com. Also, and you can find these right here on our YouTube page and on our Patreon page at hawkpodcasts.com. Please go check out and subscribe to our podcasts. You can subscribe to the podcast page for free. And then we have some subscription levels above that. But the initial, you can just go and subscribe for free, and you'll get the audio for our weekly podcast, Hawk Droppings. We've had some really great episodes lately with some really fantastic interviews with some folks in politics, in democratic politics, and it's been a joy doing those recently. You can find those here on our YouTube page, or you can go to hawkpodcasts.com. All right. Thank you. And everyone, I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have fun, stay safe, and do not get arrested. See you guys soon.